quote in our meditation by David Hawkins. Serious spiritual work is a continuous willingness to let things go as they arise. It is the willingness to surrender wanting to change it and to have it our way. And so the reason that I went back to David Hawkins today, or I was guided back to David Hawkins in his book, Letting Go, The Pathway of Surrender, is because we are coming up on our sixth or penultimate class, our forgiveness class on Saturday. We have 2 more. And I still am grappling with this journey that I am on, with this particular individual and this relationship that I'm working on in terms of forgiveness. And it was really getting to me, and I was feeling very frustrated, and I was even finding myself angry at some points about why am I stuck here? Why can I not get past this certain stage? And I think I talked about last week a little bit about what happened when I breathed the grief and loss journey last Thursday before the 90 journey last Thursday night, and then we had it again here on Saturday morning. And the depths of rage and grief and despair and loss that I didn't even know was there all came erupting out when I breathed this journey on the Thursday morning almost 2 weeks ago. And so what was super cool is that after breathing that journey, there was a significant physical change that my chiropractor noticed and said that in the 5 years that we've known each other, your bones have never been this aligned before, ever. And so with all the work that I've been doing, it was that. I know that it was that. It was this incredible, amazing thing that the body had been holding on to that I wasn't even aware of, that was impacting and causing all of this tightness and misalignment, like physical misalignment. And then once I could let it go, then all of a sudden my body came back into alignment. And it's been that way since I breathed that journey, which is so super cool. And yet I found myself getting really frustrated about, I want to be further along. I want to be able to be at peace with this relationship. What the hell? And so I thought, well, you know what? I'm just going to go back to the David Hawkins book, and I'm going to look up the chapter on anger, because that's where I feel like I'm sort of stuck right now. And I know, and actually when I went back to it, I thought, you know what? This, I think, is going to be our next class. Like, that David Hawkins book is so spectacular. And we spent 2 months on it last year, and it keeps coming back, every now and then, because there's so much gold in there. Anyway, so I had the chapter on anger open, and I was really looking forward to just digging in there and seeing, okay, what is it that is coming up? Where am I with all of this? And then I got a phone call. And then I got a second phone call about the same thing. And so one was from a friend, and one was from the person who is going through what they're going through. And this person is known to some people in this community. And so this person is navigating a very serious illness, a very sudden diagnosis, and it is very rapidly progressing to the point where they are choosing to move forward with MAID. And as soon as I heard both of those messages, any anger I had, any resentment, any frustration just vanished. And it wasn't about my stuff didn't matter as much as this stuff. It wasn't even about perspective of there's like bigger things that, need attention. It was that right there in that moment, what was important for me to focus on, the thing that was just calling out for my attention, was love. That's it. And it was so cool, and it was so peaceful, and it was so calming. It was this, what we just experienced here in musical form. And I felt so grateful in that moment, and just so appreciated this incredible, amazing, just spontaneous shift that can happen at any time when we let it. Because so often we hang on to our thoughts, we hang on to our beliefs, we hang on to our stories because they are ours. They are who and what we are. We have carried them along for so long, we got to give them their due sort of thing, right? But what ends up happening is we carry them long enough, we tell them often enough, we think them often enough, before you know it, that's who we think we are. And when that's who we think we are, we get stuck. We get stuck in that identity, and then this incredible allness that we truly are, this love, this infinite potentiality, this dynamism, this beauty, isn't able to unleash itself in, through, and as us because we won't let it. And so what a gift it was to be reminded of this and to have that spontaneous shift. Because then what ended up happening was I realized that the anger and the frustration for me wasn't so much about the person that I'm in relationship with or even the relationship itself. It was about me being impatient with me and my journey. And why wasn't I further along? And why didn't I know better? Why, with all of the years of consciousness studies, with being a minister, with having these degrees and whatever, why am I not being better and feeling better about what's going on with this relationship? So in the David Hawkins book, Letting Go, The Pathway of Surrender, he writes, repressed and suppressed feelings require counter energy to keep them submerged. It takes energy to hold down our feelings. And so what this really made me think of was all the energy that I have been using knowingly and unknowingly to suppress these feelings and then to question, why am I suppressing these feelings? Why am I not further along the path? All of the energy, the creativity that has been poured into that rather than something that is more life-affirming. And so in the book, he also writes, the most obvious and visible effect of letting go of negative feelings is a resumption of emotional and psychological growth and the solving of problems which often have been long-standing. And I actually had to look up the word resumption because I read this and I'm like, I don't know what that means. And so when I looked it up, it was a curious word, and I thought, well, I don't know if I wholly agree with this, but what he's saying here is that we stall as we sort of get stuck and we're not growing spiritually. And then when we have this kind of shift or release or letting go, this unkinking of the hose, if you will, then all of a sudden spirit is flowing again and we're growing spiritually, we're evolving, we're expanding. Now, I would argue that every single moment of every single day, there is some kind of expansion happening because spirit is consciousness. Consciousness is energy. And that is never static. It is never dormant. It is never not evolving and changing and expressing in some way. We are the ones who choose how much of that allness of being, how much of that infinite potentiality we are experiencing at any given time. So it's not that it has stopped, the flow has stopped, and it's not that we're not progressing or growing. We're just paused right here in this moment of what seems to be super important for us. But in that pause is also this incredible opportunity for us to let go, for us to soften, for us to be reminded that no matter what is going on, no matter what we are thinking, no matter what we believe, no matter what we are feeling, no matter how much we question what we are feeling or try to make meaning or sense of it or understand why, that behind all of that is this thing, this energy, this knowingness, this vitality, this potentiality that is so whole, so pure, so complete, so profound that there is nothing, no one, no diagnosis that could ever diminish that wholeness in any way, shape, or form. Even if it feels like it on the outside, there is still that within each and every one of us that is completely 100% intact. And when we allow ourselves to remember that, when we allow ourselves to let go of all the stuff that we've been carrying along all the way from moment to moment to moment, we are reminded by that thing that we are, how super awesome and powerful we are. We soon discover that the limiting thoughts and negative beliefs, which we had naively held to be true, were all merely the result of accumulated negative feelings. When the feeling is let go, then, the thought pattern changes from I can't to I can, eventually maybe even to I'm happy to do it. Entire areas of life can open up. And so for me today, when I experienced that spontaneous shift, there was a healing that took place right there and then. And I realized that this relationship, it is what it is. And I don't have the attachment to outcome that I had just seconds before I had this shift. And how liberating and freeing that was. And the only way that I could feel that was if I was anchored in the knowing, in the certainty that love is my true nature, rather than getting caught up in the, why isn't this happening faster? What am I doing wrong? What else do I have to do in order for blah, 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 right? So there was something that I saw, and I think it was on Facebook, I'm not sure, but it caught my attention because it kind of tied into this, and this is before this talk came up today. And it was about how it's not about trying to feel better, it's about getting better at feeling. And so this, for me, took me right back to the David Hawkins book, because he is all about how feelings are the foundation, the springboard for thousands of thoughts and experiences. If we can just get to the feeling as the source, as the root, if we can just be with that, not try and change it, not try and shift it, not try and like make sense of it or whatever, but be with it and then let it go, then all of those thoughts, all of those stories, all of those experiences disappear back into no-thingness. So it's not about trying to feel better, it's about becoming better at feeling. The more we let go, the more we free up energy for other aspects of being. And so the title of my talk today is The Power of Letting Go. How hard would it be to hold on to every single grain of sand? How much energy would you have to exert to make sure that not one single grain, never mind a bunch of them, was slipping through your fingers, right? And then you just let it go. All that sand flows away, and then you have this open hand to receive whatever it is that is so easy for you to receive, right? So that's why that photo. So back to David Hawkins, our capacity for love is far beyond what we ever dreamed. The more we let go, the more loving we become. By allowing the full feeling of it and letting go of every sensation, every thought, and every little payoff you are getting from it, you are free. And that's what so totally happened for me today. And it was such a beautiful, pleasant surprise in such a bizarre way. But being able to just release all of that attachment, all of that questioning, and just let it all go, so incredibly liberating. And once it happens, that's it. It's done. So back to the original quote that we had in meditation. This is not the original quote. Let's go with this other quote. Repressed and suppressed feelings require counter energy to keep them submerged. It takes energy to hold down our feelings. As these feelings are relinquished, the energy that had been holding down the negativity is now freed for constructive uses. So if we just allow ourselves the opportunity to not just remember who we are, but not get stuck in the thoughts and the feelings and the beliefs and the stories that are always coming up, that we're telling constantly from one moment to the next, if we allow ourselves the opportunity to not get anchored in them, to not get tethered to them, if we can allow ourselves to just loosen the grip from time to time and be open and willing to letting go, then there will come opportunities in our day, in our life, when that letting go will be instantaneous. And when it happens, there is a freedom, there is a liberation that occurs that is so beautiful, that is so powerful, because now you have all of that energy that you were using to hold on to every single little grain of sand. You have the energy to do something else, right? That is more life-affirming, that is more constructive. So each of us has a limit to the amount of negative feelings we have stored up. When the pressure behind an emotion has been let go, that emotion no longer occurs. If fear is constantly surrendered for a period of time, eventually it runs out. It then becomes difficult or almost impossible to feel further fear. And this kind of reminds me of my experience that I was talking about last week when I got that speeding ticket, which was a total shock. But I was saying how there was just nothing that was even coming up. And if there was, it was like so minute and like an insinuation of anger, frustration, oh my God, what, like none of it. It was just, this is what's happening, and that's it. And it was actually such a pleasant experience. So this is what he's talking about, is just allowing ourselves the opportunity to let go. And in the letting go, there's this beautiful space and opportunity to reach for something new. So in the end, what I want to leave you with is, letting go creates opportunity to stop identifying with the limiting thoughts, beliefs, and stories we've been living with for far too long. The better we become at feeling and consciously surrendering, the more we are able to live as the love we truly are for ourselves, each other, and our world. Thank you, and so it is.